So, this is the first time I've had a microphone in a while. Well, a good one at least. I actually got this for Christmas, and it's a really good one. By the way, this is the first time I've ever done a proper voiceover, so please don't judge me for if I mess up at all. But as you can see, I checked my map and I saw this giant spire and began to climb it. But once I made it to the top, I activated a wave stone, which was not in my last video, actually, because I added this mod afterwards. The reason why was because I did not want to have my teleportation be from the minimap and from looking at the map and just clicking a teleport button. That would be way too easy. And from the chest up here, you can tell that I actually got some pretty good stuff. One of the things was a paraglider. I'm not sure if they're in every single spire in my game, but I'll figure that out later. The editing software I'm using currently is also different from before, as before I was using Filmforth, but now I'm using Adobe Premiere Rush, which is much better in my opinion. It doesn't crash or buffer too much. In my opinion, it's much better than Filmforth, though there are some drawbacks to it, such as not being able to use a green screen. And panning and zooming is only for photos for some odd reason. I don't like that part of it, but I can't change anything about it. I'll stop rambling about what new stuff I have now, though, so we can get back to what's happening in my video. As you saw, I found a big house, which I decided to fly over to. Well, more so glide, and I got the sugarcane that was all around it. I decided to go inside because who wouldn't? And there was a cake. I love cake, but I couldn't eat it at that moment. From the stairs, I could tell it was a dungeon from one of the mods I added, and there would be more dungeons around my world, but I did not know if I would find them right by each other. Since I didn't have any tools or armor, I wouldn't be going down there to fight anything yet, and throughout the entire video, I didn't go down there after going down there the first time to place torches. And oddly enough, these torches did not want to be picked up. They were vanilla torches, though they just disappeared when broken. Since they disappeared anytime they were to be broken, I decided that I wanted to use them sparingly, and the best place to put them was down in the dungeon at the beginning. Going down these steps, I was very cautious because I am in hardcore, and I didn't want to get hurt at all, not even the slightest bit, because hardcore makes everything hard, and the mods I added also makes it harder. Honestly, I will say I was terrified to get hit even once, because the last time I tried playing on my world with all these mods, I died within the first 2 hours. I did realize that I needed wood and other materials, so I decided to go out and get them. I did see this hold up. I was confused until I realized that I did have some cave generation alteration mods. They were the mods by Young, and they were the better stronghold, mineshaft, and caves mods. I did try to have quark in my mods list as well, but it decided that every time I tried to play, it would crash. That was a bit of slow reflexes on my part, but I was still a bit terrified since I barely had any armor. And because of this, I decided I'd go straight back up to the surface. By the time I came back, it was already nighttime, so I thought I was going to have a little bit of issues, but I didn't, thankfully enough. I just had to get myself out of this hole and go to bed. By the time I had woken up, I made some bottles and some other things, which I don't remember because I cut them out. But I created the bottles because I needed water. I do have the Tough as Nails mod and also another mod so I can have the temperature. Because The 1.16.5 version does not have temperature. I had also created some armor and a shield for myself so I could actually survive better. And in my head, I decided, yeah, it's a totally great idea to fight these big bisons that have better animations, by the way, and are clearly very strong. I hadn't noticed it yet, but my temperature had gotten a bit too low, and if I wasn't careful, I would start taking damage. Since I did get some very good kills from this area, I did the same exact thing as the day before. Killed more bison. Though I did take much more damage from the bison, and I got scared. I mean, look how much damage he did to me. He did 3 whole hearts, and I have iron armor on, too. Standing on the ice wasn't helping my situation either, as it was making my temperature drop significantly. Again, I did not realize that. So I kept playing and trying to kill him. I even tried using the ability of my shield, which I still had no clue what it did. Even look how fast this bison's hitting me. It's hitting me so fast that if I didn't have the shield, I would be dead by now. Once again, my temperature was considerably low, and I did not realize, once again, that would be an issue if I continued to not see that. I don't remember what I was trying to do at this point in time, other than trying to get closer to the floating village and see how great it looked. But that was obviously a mistake. I began to freeze. I was starting to panic too. I didn't know what to do. Panic had set in so much that I didn't even try to warm myself all the way by putting a box around until I was very low. Even then, I forgot to eat my mutton. I don't know why I suddenly started to build, even though it had already been almost too late, but I managed to get warm. I don't actually remember how long I was in that box for, but I think I was in there for about 5 minutes just waiting for my temperature to rise. The next day, I decided I'd build a wider part so I don't have only one block to stand on when I get outside the door. After all that was done and over with, I went on my boat to explore, and I wanted to go up to the floating islands at some point. But for now, I explored everywhere else, and I found some pretty cool places. I kept staring at the floating village's beauty because, I mean, like, who wouldn't? It's pretty cool. Any floating island in Minecraft is pretty amazing. It did look like there was a temple or something of the sort up there, but that would have to be checked out later. I did find a spider's nest, but I didn't want to go inside because I could have gotten killed very easily if it spawned too many spiders. I'd check that area out later, but not in this video. I had turned back around and found this castle. It looked pretty cool, so I wanted to go inside. I parked my boat and then I entered. I don't know why, but this entire game I had been having lag spikes, and I'm very sorry about that, but As you can see, there's nothing I can really do about it. The castle had a very magnificent bedroom, and I wanted to stay in there, but for now I'd be staying at the dungeon house, because that's where all my stuff was. I did find a little dungeon inside of the castle, but it wasn't really much of a dungeon, it was more like a cellar, and it had a skeleton in it. I could hear it behind the door, but I didn't want to get to it in case there were more than one. I didn't have many torches left either, so I still wanted to use them sparingly and carefully. But I did place them in some places for light. I was mainly in the castle just for loot, but everything did look very cool. So I did want to stay there, but I didn't. And then I found a guest room, which I stayed in to sleep. Actually, I'm pretty sure this was a guard room or a night room. I'm not sure which one, but it did seem like one of the two. Either way, the next day I decided to go straight back down into the cellar and see what I could find. There wasn't much except for the little jail cell that the skeleton had been in. I felt sorry for the little guy, but there wasn't anything I could do to help him other than put him out of his misery. And I just realized this while editing, but that chest might have been contraband or the skeleton's old items, which he couldn't have anymore because he died. At first, I did want to leave and leave him alone, but then I felt cruel, and I wanted to kill him to see what else could be inside. Though it wasn't worth it. There wasn't anything I could grab or take, so I killed him for nothing. I could have just left him alone. He could have stayed in that cell all alone by himself. I did at least get my first diamond though, and I didn't even have to mine for it. So after I had searched the entire castle, I grabbed the horse and wanted to leave. But when I tried to saddle onto the horse, it wouldn't let me. I was confused for a very long time until I realized that I had to have nothing in my hand. But I didn't realize that until like 5 minutes after pausing the game and searching up what I had to do to get on a horse. Surprisingly, I tamed it first try. It was lucky, but I wasn't complaining. But when I got off the horse, I was again confused until I remembered later, much later, that I had a mod installed where it would keep the horse still if there was a saddle on. Afterwards, I left the castle with the horse, bringing him with me all the way back. But I did find another waystone, which I activated. As for the name of it, I didn't want it to be any of the jumbled letters or random names. I wanted to name it something that I could easily remember. So, like Spawn, I did that for the castle. Though I did hesitate for a very long while, thinking about if I should add the floating castles into the name, and so I'd... floating islands, my bad, into the name, which I did. Instead of heading all the way back, however, I did find another portal, a broken one, which I went up to see. And as for the climbing, which you might be confused about, I have a mod installed which allows me to climb up 2 blocks if I shift while up in the air against 2 blocks. I can get up 2 blocks high, which makes sense because, you know, you have arms. This mod, which I'm thankful for, makes it so much easier to traverse the area and high areas as well. You can also wall jump with it, which is harder than you think. Sadly, the last bit of cake was gone. I might make another at some point. I don't know when that would be, but I didn't have any more cake to eat. Once that night was over, I headed over to a spot which I thought would be easier to get up onto the floating villages. And it was, because oddly enough, there was a little pier at the end of it, which made it much easier for me to enter. Though I had a bit of a miscalculation, and so I had to mine up into blocks to get up onto it, instead of having myself at the end and just walking onto it. The views were amazing from up here, though I wouldn't be staying long as I was only here for loot because I didn't have anything to trade with the villagers. I probably would eventually, but for now they'd just stay up there without any trading ever happening for a long while. But I got a ducky, like I did from my last video. Though I'm pretty sure I got some more ducks from the floating villages. I just don't remember taking them from them. But at the end of the video, I did have multiple ducks instead of one. Weapons from another mod I had installed were for some reason in the chests in these floating villages. I didn't know why, but I was thankful for it because I did get something better than an iron sword. I got a crossbow, not one from Minecraft, but one from a mod, which was better than the Minecraft crossbow, I would assume. I hadn't used it yet, not even till the end of the video. I didn't even use it then, or before then. I didn't use it at all during my recording. Honestly, this could be a villager diving board just to get into the water. That'd be pretty cool if I was a villager, to just dive from the top. Though I would be scared of the height. And I wanted this lava, but I didn't have an empty bucket, so I had to find somewhere to empty my water bucket into so I could get some lava. As if I had some lava, I could have a heat source for my temperature. The water, in turn, would also be a way up to the village without having to build up into it again. Sorry, excuse me. I am also curious if holding the lava bucket makes me warmer, but I would highly doubt it. I hope it would, but it's not likely to be that way. Oh, and I just remembered, again, that there is a season mod, which I also added, which will make things colder at some point and warmer, which might be harder for me to survive, but that's the whole point. I did also find a witch's hut. I don't know why I wanted to explore it, even though I know what's inside them, which is practically nothing. Though I did it anyways, and regretted it right afterwards. Knowing that she could throw a potion of harming right after the potion of poisoning, I didn't want to stay there any longer and left. Going there was the stupidest choice ever because I could have died from something else along the way as well. Fall damage, another mob. It could have just gone so horribly. Thankfully, though, it didn't. I was careful all the way back to my horse and all the way back to my home. But I did survive, as you can see. But when I got back to my horse and back home, it was nighttime, which could have been an issue. The following day, I did nothing but craft, and even then, I messed up with some crafting. Though, I didn't even craft most of the way through that. I just searched through the crafting menu and created an inventory pet because I wanted one. The inventory pet in question was the Enderman one. I didn't know exactly how it worked, but I was hoping that it would get me out of a tricky situation, like if I was too close to several mobs. Unfortunately, it didn't work underground. I didn't know what the heck that thing was until I remembered again that it was an ore zombie, which drops ores if I kill it. After all that was done, all I wanted to do was play with my duckies and place them down.